Bold and the Beautiful early spoilers January 5th to 9th. Bill viciously blasts his enemy. Eric left absolutely stunned. Bold and the Beautiful early weekly spoilers for January 5th through the 9th give Bill Spencer, Don Diamont, blasting an enemy, and Eric Forrester, John McCook absolutely stunned. As we always do on early edition day, we start with what's coming the rest of this week. Then we get into what's ahead next week. Bold and the Beautiful spoilers, Katie and Brooke at war. So on Wednesday, December 31st, it is New Year's Eve, and Brooke Logan, Catherine Kelly Lang, has got more harsh things to say to Katie Logan, Heather Tom. This carries over from Tuesday's episode. The ego that Brooke is showing while trying to make Katie feel less than is not going to be good for their relationship as sisters. To me, it sounds like Brooke has herself on this pedestal up above Katie, Heather Tom. I do think she has had some jealousy of her sister, but to say that kind of thing out loud, if you've ever had a big sister, and I have one, and you've ever had a big sister say something like that to you, that's a deal breaker. That's like one of those things you'll never get over. Brooke Logan and Katie Logan face off over the Logan trademark on B&B. Their bickering continues as Brooke keeps insisting she can't use the name Logan despite them now having the trademark for her new fashion house. After Brooke drops big attitude on her little sister, she's going to storm out of Spencer Publications, leaving Katie very upset. Then she spills to Bill Spencer about what Brooke did and what she said. I think if she had appealed to Katie and come at her politely instead of acting like Ridge Forrester, Torsten K., and making demands with ultimatums and insults, Brooke would probably have gotten a lot further with her sister. After she leaves Katie upset, Brooke heads back over to Forrester Creations to Phil and Carter Walton, Lawrence St. Victor, and Ridge about their confrontation, and tells them that Katie is not going to give up the name and she does indeed have the trademark on Logan now, which they were worried about. Carter thinks it's Bill's fault for the damage that's being done to Brooke and Katie's sibling relationship. Me personally, I think it's down to Ridge and his awful and pushy king of the world attitude that has rubbed off on Brooke. They seem to think they're better than everybody, smarter than everybody, and entitled to everything. Bill Spencer blasts Ridge Forrester and remembers the infamous sex room on Bold and the Beautiful. Bill heads over to Forrester Creations to read Ridge the riot act after Katie tells him about what Brooke did and said. I do like that Katie clapped back at Brooke asking if she's jealous that Bill did this for her, something he'd never done for Brooke. I mean, I have to say I'm sorry, but if I was Katie, I'd still be ticked off about Bill building that special sex room at Spencer Publications for him and Brooke. Do you guys remember that? That has been, gosh, maybe 8 years ago. I'm trying to remember, because if you recall, Bill and Brooke would go in that room right off the CEO office, and they were fooling around, but they were stopping just short of doing the actual deed. They were still doing a lot of other stuff, and they were rationalizing it as not cheating because they weren't doing that one thing. That was, I think, during the period where Brooke wound up under their bed in the bedroom. It was so dodgy and so horrible. I think Katie should still be mad at both of them about that. New Year's Day B&B Encore. Brooke Logan and Ridge Forrester in Italy. Thursday, January 1st, we're going to start off 2026 with an encore episode as B&B airs a rerun of the fashion show in Italy. This was the location shoot with Brooke, Ridge, Eric Forrester, John McCook, and Nick Marone, Jack Wagner. There we see Brooke posing and modeling and using Nick's presence to deliberately make Ridge jealous. That was the same episode where Eric was pressuring Ridge to dump Taylor Hayes and get back with Brooke, the woman he's meant to be with. Ridge was still pushing back on Eric. At that point, Nick had a ring and was planning a proposal, whisking Brooke away by boat. If you were watching, you know she fell off the back of the boat. Ridge resuscitated her, and it was an insta-union. Although once they got back to L.A., Ridge took his own sweet time letting Taylor know that he had dumped her yet again. Bold and the Beautiful spoilers. Daphne Rose's mysterious intentions. Friday, January 2nd, we get the first new episode of Bold and the Beautiful of the new year. So Dylan, Sydney Bullock, is staying in what seems to be like an upstairs garage apartment guest house because she can look down and see that outdoor shower, and she is watching Will Spencer, Crew Morrow, showering in his swim trunks. I don't know if she's perving or what's going on. I like that Dylan said she couldn't stay at the house with just Will there, and then Electra said she'd stay, and then she agreed. Dylan is thanking them for their hospitality this week, and Electra tells Dylan that all Will wants is her respect, which is a very strangely worded spoiler from the promo. Daphne's also making a gesture to show Electra and Will that she appreciates them. I still think something's up with this girl. The legal battle over the Logan brand heats up. Brooke, Ridge, and Carter cook up a plan to try and make things harder for Katie Logan as she sets up her new business. I do wonder if they're going to try and take legal action to stop her from launching her new fashion house using the trademark name Logan. One thing my legal research showed is Brooke might win a case in court, not taking away the trademark, but requiring that they have to add a disclaimer to everything saying, not affiliated with Brooke Logan. That would be a whole hassle and would kind of be a big insult to have to label on all their marketing. The week of January 5th through the 9th, we're going to see Eric finding out soon about Katie starting her new fashion house. He's going to hear about the trademark Logan being up for grabs because Carter let it lapse. I do wonder if Eric will initially be Team Ridge and Brooke, but then change his mind when he sees how nasty they're being. Ridge has been horribly insensitive to his dad, so Eric might have some sympathy for Katie. We know Donna Logan, Jennifer Garais, does not like what she's hearing come out of Brooke and Ridge's mouths. They were trash-talking Katie before they even went over there and heard the Logan name. So, it's only going to go downhill from here. Deacon Sharp's therapy and Zen Forrester Dominguez's new opportunity on Bold and the Beautiful. So, Deacon Sharp, Sean Cannon, needs to catch up on his therapy sessions with Taylor Hayes, Rebecca Budig, after the holidays. Deacon, Sean Cannon, may tell his therapist it was a little rough at Christmas because Sheila Carter, Kimberlyn Brown, wouldn't be welcome at his kids' homes. And obviously, he's not going to miss out on seeing the grandkids. Bill and Katie double down to make her company a success. They're ready to start hiring. I do wonder how long until Donna or Eric show Katie the collection he just designed. Meanwhile, Carter may work on legal strategies to interfere with Katie's startup venture. Deke Sharp, Harrison Cohn, may hear about Katie's new fashion house from Deacon or Liam Spencer and rush over there with his portfolio looking for a shot. Deke's got no love lost for the Forresters after they abruptly let him go. Monica Noel didn't want him fired, and it was his dream job. Family loyalties and the truth about Brooke Logan's betrayal. Liam is determined to help his stepmother Katie. He may also tell Hope how awful her mother Brooke and stepdad Ridge are being to Katie. Hope may actually remember that Brooke betrayed her and spilled secrets to Ridge during the coup. I mean, that wasn't Hope's finest hour, but it also showed her where her mom Brooke's loyalties lie, and it's not with Hope. Ridge, Brooke, and Steffi Forrester, Jacqueline McInnes Wood, are going to rant about losing the Logan trademark, and Carter may face some heat, but it's a done deal. Now, watch for what's next with Dylan, because it seems like they're doing a story about homelessness. But Brad Bell may twist this into something else entirely. The fashion world of Los Angeles is trembling, and for the first time in years, the foundation of the Forrester estate isn't just shaking, it's cracking wide open. In what can only be described as a heart-wrenching and explosive turn of events this week on the Bold and the Beautiful, the dollar bill Spencer we once knew has returned with a vengeance, and his latest target is none other than the man he once respected, the legendary Eric Forrester. If you thought the rivalry between the Spencers and the Forresters was buried under years of marriages and peace treaties, think again. The very sad news isn't just about a broken business deal. It's about the total annihilation of a lifelong bond and the public humiliation of a patriarch who thought his legacy was secure. The catalyst, a sisterhood in shreds. The drama began with a betrayal that cut deeper than any fashion runway rivalry. Katie Logan, feeling perpetually undervalued and cast aside at Forrester Creations, finally reached her breaking point. Despite years of loyalty, she discovered that Ridge and Brooke had moved behind her back to hire an outside PR firm, effectively stripping her of her professional dignity. When Katie retreated to the Spencer mansion in tears, Bill Spencer didn't just offer a shoulder to cry on. IL provided a weapon. In a move that has stunned the city, Bill used his massive resources to help Katie launch her own rival fashion house. But the real vicious blow? He didn't just give her company. He stole the Logan name itself. Due to a massive legal oversight by Carter Walton, the trademark for the Logan name had lapsed. Liam Spencer, working under Bill's ruthless direction, swooped in and secured the rights from his laptop before the Forresters even knew what hit them. The confrontation. Bill viciously blasts Ridge and Eric. The tension reached a fever pitch when Bill stormed into the Forrester CEO office. This wasn't the reformed Bill who plays nice for the sake of the kids. This was the stallion, fueled by protective rage for Katie and a long-simmering resentment toward the king of the world attitude of the Forresters. You treat people like they're disposable assets on a balance sheet, Bill roared at a defiant Ridge. But Katie isn't just an asset. She's a Logan, and now, quite literally, she is the Logan brand. You have nothing. As Ridge tried to dismiss Bill, the doors swung open to reveal Eric Forrester. The patriarch, already struggling with the heavy weight of his forced retirement and declining health, walked into a buzzsaw. Bill didn't hold back. In a scene that left viewers breathless, Bill turned his vitriol toward Eric. He blasted the legendary designer for allowing Ridge to run the company like a dictatorship, and for failing to protect the very woman, Katie, who has stood by the family for decades. You're a figurehead in your own building, Eric, Bill spat, his voice dripping with venom. You've let your son turn this place into a cold, elitist museum. You're yesterday's news, and Katie is the future. I'm going to make sure the world forgets the name Forrester ever existed. Eric left absolutely stunned. The sight of Eric Forrester, the man who built an empire from nothing, standing there, visibly trembling and speechless, was the sad news that has fans mourning on social media. Eric, who has always prided himself on class and legacy, was left absolutely stunned by the sheer cruelty of Bill's attack. The silence in the room was deafening. Eric, who recently handed his symbolic stapler to Ridge as a sign of passing the torch, looked like a man who had just realized he gave his life's work to a son who couldn't defend it from a predator like Bill Spencer. Why this is very sad news for B&B fans. The end of an era. Seeing Eric Forrester disrespected in his own sanctuary feels like the end of the show's moral compass. Family divided. Brooke and Katie's relationship is officially in the no-fly zone. The Logan sisters are at war, and there may be no coming back from this trademark heist. The return of Bad Bill. While many love the drama, Bill's return to his most ruthless self means that innocent people, like the fragile Eric, are going to be collateral damage. What's next? A new fashion war. The fallout from this confrontation is set to dominate 2026. Rumors are circulating that Eric may do the unthinkable. Feeling pushed out by Ridge and humiliated by Bill, could the master designer actually jump ship to join Katie's new fashion house? If Eric Forrester joins forces with Bill Spencer and Katie Logan, it won't just be a rivalry, it will be the total eclipse of Forrester creations. The fashion world of Los Angeles is trembling, and for the first time in years, the foundation of the Forrester estate isn't just shaking, it's cracking wide open. In what can only be described as a heart-wrenching and explosive turn of events this week on The Bold and the Beautiful, the dollar bill Spencer we once knew has returned with a vengeance, and his latest target is none other than the man he once respected, the legendary Eric Forrester. If you thought the rivalry between the Spencers and the Forresters was buried under years of marriages and peace treaties, think again. The very sad news isn't just about a broken business deal. It's about the total annihilation of a lifelong bond and the public humiliation of a patriarch who thought his legacy was secure. The catalyst, a sisterhood in shreds. The drama began with a betrayal that cut deeper than any fashion runway rivalry. Katie Logan, feeling perpetually undervalued and cast aside at Forrester Creations, finally reached her breaking point. Despite years of loyalty, she discovered that Ridge and Brooke had moved behind her back to hire an outside PR firm, effectively stripping her of her professional dignity. When Katie retreated to the Spencer mansion in tears, Bill Spencer didn't just offer a shoulder to cry on. Aiel provided a weapon. In a move that has stunned the city, Bill used his massive resources to help Katie launch her own rival fashion house. But the real vicious blow? He didn't just give her a company. He stole the Logan name itself. Due to a massive legal oversight by Carter Walton, the trademark for the Logan name had lapsed. Liam Spencer, working under Bill's ruthless direction, swooped in and secured the rights from his laptop before the Forresters even knew what hit them. The confrontation. Bill viciously blasts Ridge and Eric. The tension reached a fever pitch when Bill stormed into the Forrester CEO office. This wasn't the reformed Bill who plays nice for the sake of the kids. This was the stallion, fueled by protective rage for Katie and a long-simmering resentment toward the king of the world. Attitude of the bold and the beautiful are bracing themselves for an emotionally brutal turn as early developments point to one of the darkest confrontations the show has delivered in years. What begins as simmering tension erupts into a vicious verbal and emotional assault that leaves shockwaves across Los Angeles and leaves Eric Forrester absolutely stunned. At the center of it all is Bill Spencer, a man known for ruthless business instincts, unshakable confidence, and a temper that explodes when he feels cornered. This time, however, Bill goes further than ever before, crossing lines that may never be repaired. A storm that's been brewing for years. Bill Spencer has never been a man to back down. Whether it's business, love, or family, he fights dirty and fights to win. But longtime viewers know that this explosion didn't come out of nowhere. Old grudges, wounded pride, and deep-seated resentment have been piling up quietly for years, and now they're boiling over. Behind closed doors, Bill has been feeling increasingly betrayed. He believes his enemy, someone he once trusted, respected, and perhaps even admired, has been working against him, undermining his power and threatening his legacy. For Bill, legacy is everything. It's not just about money or control. It's about proving that he cannot be defeated. When Bill finally confronts his enemy, the tension is suffocating. There's no shouting at first, just icy words, sharp looks, and a silence so heavy it feels like it could crack the walls. But once Bill starts talking, there's no stopping him. Bill's vicious blast. Words like weapons. In this early storyline, Bill doesn't just argue, he annihilates. He unloads years of anger in one savage verbal assault, cutting deep with words designed to wound. He accuses his enemy of hypocrisy, betrayal, and manipulation, laying out every perceived offense with brutal precision. This isn't Bill posturing. This is personal. Sources close to the storyline describe Bill as unhinged but heartbreakingly honest. His rage isn't theatrical, it's raw. He doesn't just want to win, he wants to hurt. And he succeeds. The room goes silent as Bill delivers his final blow, a line so devastating it changes everything. It's the kind of moment that makes viewers gasp, rewind, and stare at the screen in disbelief. For Bill, it's catharsis. For everyone else, it's terrifying. Eric Forrester, a man left absolutely stunned. Perhaps the most heartbreaking fallout comes from Eric Forrester. Eric has seen decades of drama, betrayals, and power struggles. He's weathered family wars and business disasters. But nothing prepares him for what he witnesses here. Eric is blindsided not just by Bill's fury, but by the depth of the damage it reveals. Watching Bill viciously blast his enemy forces Eric to confront an ugly truth. The world he helped build is fracturing in ways he can no longer control. Eric's reaction is quiet but devastating. His stunned expression says more than words ever could. This isn't just shock, it's grief. Grief for broken alliances, for lost respect, and for the realization that the moral compass he once represented may no longer guide anyone. Those close to Eric notice something different this time. He doesn't immediately step in. He doesn't lecture. He doesn't try to fix it. He simply stands there, frozen, as if realizing that the battle unfolding is bigger than him, and perhaps bigger than the Forrester name itself. A very sad turning point for the show. What makes this development especially sad is how irreversible it feels. The Bold and the Beautiful has always thrived on reconciliation after destruction, but this time the damage feels permanent. Bill's words can't be taken back. The enemy he attacks may never forgive him, and even if they try, the trust is gone. This isn't just another feud. It's a turning point. Fans who have followed these characters for decades will feel the weight of this moment deeply. Relationships that once defined the show are now cracked beyond recognition. Alliances that once felt unbreakable are hanging by a thread or already shattered. The emotional fallout begins. In the aftermath of Bill's vicious blast, the ripple effects are immediate. Characters are forced to choose sides. Some defend Bill, insisting that he was pushed too far. Others are horrified, calling his behavior cruel and unforgivable. Eric, meanwhile, withdraws. Those closest to him worry that this confrontation has taken something out of him, not physically, but emotionally. He's beginning to question whether the empire he built has become something he no longer recognizes. The sadness lingers in every scene. Conversations are hushed. Eye contact is avoided. There's a sense that everyone knows something terrible has happened, but no one knows how to fix it. Bill's regret or lack of it. One of the most chilling aspects of this storyline is Bill's mindset afterward. Early hints suggest that he may not feel regret, at least not right away. In his eyes, he finally spoke the truth. He finally said what no one else was brave enough to say. But viewers can already see the cracks forming. Late at night, when Bill is alone, the weight of his words begins to settle. Anger fades, and what's left is isolation. The man who prides himself on strength is suddenly facing a loneliness he can't buy his way out of. Whether Bill will ever admit he went too far remains uncertain. But one thing is clear. The cost of this outburst will be enormous. What this means moving forward. This early storyline sets the stage for weeks, possibly months, of emotional fallout. Eric's stunned silence suggests a shift in power and perspective. Bill's vicious blast ensures that nothing will ever be the same again. Viewers should prepare for deep fractures within long-standing relationships, emotional reckonings that resurface decades of history, a more vulnerable, shaken Eric Forrester, a Bill Spencer facing consequences he never anticipated. Final thoughts. Heartbreak that hits hard. Today's very sad news from the Bold and the Beautiful isn't about explosions or dramatic exits. It's about words and how devastating they can be. Bill's vicious blast doesn't just wound his enemy, it shakes the entire foundation of the show. And Eric Forrester, left absolutely stunned, stands as a symbol of what's been lost. Dignity, unity, and the hope that some lines would never be crossed. As fans, we watch with heavy hearts, knowing that the road ahead will be painful, emotional, and unforgettable. One thing is certain. The Bold and the Beautiful is heading into one of its most heartbreaking chapters yet, and no one will emerge unchanged. Deep fractures within long-standing relationships, emotional reckonings that resurface decades of history, a more vulnerable, shaken Eric Forrester, a Bill Spencer facing consequences he never anticipated. Final thoughts. Heartbreak that hits hard. Today's very sad news from the Bold and the Beautiful isn't about explosions or dramatic exits. It's about words and how devastating they can be. Bill's vicious blast doesn't just wound his enemy, it shakes the entire foundation of the show. And Eric Forrester, left absolutely stunned, stands as a symbol of what's been lost. Dignity, unity, and the hope that some lines would never be crossed. As fans, we watch with heavy hearts, knowing that the road ahead will be painful, emotional, and unforgettable. One thing is certain. The Bold and the Beautiful is heading into one of its most heartbreaking chapters yet, and no one will emerge unchanged.